Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports back in the video today, and today I'm going to be going over what the Houston Rockets offseason plan should be after their season ended. Their season ended on Sunday after they beat the Los Angeles Clippers 116-105. It is, well, I don't know when you're watching, but for me, it's currently Thursday. Might be watching on Friday, Saturday, or who knows, Sunday or later. So I wanted to take a couple days, get away from Rockets basketball. Didn't want to think about the Rockets. I wanted to pay attention to the the play-in tournament, and, just kind of take a couple days and thinking about what this Rockets offseason should be and what it should look like and what moves I think would be best for this Rockets team going into the 2024-25 season. And I think I've, fully kind of thought about what could be in store for this team in the offseason and some moves that I think would be good for this Rockets team. And I'm going to go over them. So I'm excited to go over these potential moves for the Rockets. Let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with the draft. You currently, right now, you have 2 draft picks in the first round, although one of them, which is right now out of odds, it has the 12th best odds in the first round. That's the Rockets' own draft pick, which belongs to the Oklahoma City Thunder if it doesn't end up in the top 4. Currently, that draft pick has a 7% chance to end up in the top 4. That doesn't sound very good, but listen to this. Chicago Rockets fans, I want you guys to listen to this. Keep aware. Tomorrow night, the Chicago Bulls play the Miami Heat in the play-in tournament. I don't know if any of you thought that game would actually mean something to the Rockets. Well, it does, because if the Bulls make it into the playoffs and the Miami Heat lose that game, that draft pick, that the Rockets' own draft pick, not the Brooklyn pick, that will go to the Thunder if it's not in the top 4, goes from a 7% chance to go in the top 4 all the way up to a 9.5% chance, as it will get the 11 that will go up to projected pick number 12 to projected pick number 11. So that pick is not the Rockets if it's not in the top 4, but they do have the Brooklyn pick, which is projected to be pick 9, just out of odds, out of the records. Now, if you have the 9th best odds, you might end up being at like 8 or 7 or 6 or something like that. But you might fall down to like 10 or 11. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where the Rockets end up in the draft. But I'm going to talk about who I think the Rockets should select. Just speaking in that area of 9, I've also thought about the Rockets potentially trading the pick. You have so much young talent on this team. Do you need to add any more young talent? That would be a really good question. I would say or ask if you're the Rockets organization, if you're in the Rockets organization, if you're in the that's a question I'd ask. Could we potentially trade this pick? Because we've heard about potentially trying to improve this roster by making trades. Young stars are available, potentially guys like Jabari Smith Jr. or Tari Eason. Players are going to be available throughout the trade market in the offseason. Guys like Jason Tate, Jock Lando will be available. Draft picks should be available. The Rockets are open to a lot on the trade. I mean, there are guys like I think Cam Whitmore, Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson, who will, and maybe Jalen Green, who will not be available in trades, but I think everybody else is on the table. But so I think the Rockets, if they don't feel like they can get someone that would help this team, I don't think they should keep that pick, and it might have some value pairing it with someone like Tari Eason or Jabari Smith Jr. or Jock Landale and Jason Tate. But I think what the Rockets need to be looking for in this draft with the top 10 pick or wherever that draft pick from Brooklyn will be. I'm not going to really focus on OKC, the OKC pick our draft pick that could become OKC's pick, because most likely, unless it's a miracle, we're not going to get that draft pick, because it would take a miracle, because you only have either a 7% chance or a 9.5% chance to actually keep that draft pick. Now, but with the Brooklyn pick, I am looking at someone who is, in my opinion, NBA ready, and I believe that's something the Rockets need to look for in this draft. If they're going to select somebody, they need to look for someone who is NBA ready and can come help this team immediately. And I believe a Tennessee Volunteer is a guy who can do that, and that is Dalton Knecht. I really would love the addition for the Rockets to bring in a guy like Dalton Knecht. I think he really brings in good three-point shooting. He's a good scorer. I've said it, that the Rockets need to bring in good three-point shooting next to, they need to bring good three-point shooting next to Alperen Sengun. They need to bring better three-point shooting around him, floor up the space a little bit maybe. And this team will become a better three-point shooting. And, Sengun can get the ball to some of our best shooters if we do improve in that category. And that's something I really think would benefit this Rockets team. I think Dalton Knecht, a good three-point shooter, shot like 37% from three this year at Tennessee, would really help. And he's 23 years old. I believe he is the most ready out of all the, out of everybody going into this year's draft, like in the top 10. I believe he is the most NBA ready. And I think he's one of those guys, just like kind of Cam Whitmore this year, can come in right away and help this team win. I really believe so. I'm going to go over a trade I would like to see the Rockets do and a free agent I'd like to see the Rockets sign. And then I'm going to go over what the full team would look like if the Rockets made these moves. So the draft guy, the guy the Rockets I believe should draft, the guy I think the Rockets should draft is Dalton Knecht. Draft him 9th overall or wherever you have that draft pick. I think he's a good fit, most NBA ready, and he's a good three-point shooter. He helps this team scoring-wise and three-point shooting-wise. Okay. Let's get into a big trade I think the Rockets should make if you want to take the next step into going to from a play-in contender all the way to a Western Conference contender. You have to give up a young star, and this could hurt the Rockets, but I think adding a guy like this, this guy that I'm about to talk about would really help the team. And I might upset some of you Rockets fans. I don't know how y'all are going to feel about this. I really do know with, the open-minded how open-minded the Rockets are going into this offseason, potentially trading some of these young stars, that it is a possibility that this player could get traded for the Houston Rockets. And that the player I'm talking about is Jabari Smith Jr. I would like the Rockets to potentially trade for Lauri Markkanen. I think he's another guy who is a good three-point shooter. He brings in good three-point shooting. He's not a bad defensive player either. And here's the package I have the Rockets sending to the Utah Jazz in order to get Lauri Markkanen on the roster. Here we go. The Rockets would send Jabari Smith Jr., Jayshawn Tate, and Jock Landale with their first-round pick for next year in 2025 and 2 future second-round picks. Second-round pick, which is going to be pick 44 in this year's draft, and their 2026 second-round pick. So full compensation to Utah, Jabari Smith Jr., Jock Landale, Jayshawn Tate, pick 44 in this year's draft, 2026 second-round pick, 2025 first-round pick to the Utah Jazz for Lauri Markkanen. Markkanen averaged 23 points per game with 8 rebounds per game this year with the Jazz and 33 minutes per game in 55 games. Season before, he was an all-star for Utah, averaging 26 points per game and 9 rebounds per game. Like I said, he's a good three-point shooter, career three-point shooter of 37%, 40% this season, 39% the season before, 36% the season before, 40% the season before that in the 2021 season with the Chicago Bulls. So just like Dalton Knecht, who you would be drafting pick 9, another guy who brings in good three-point shooting for the Rockets, and another guy where Alperen Sengun would be able, get the ball to. I think it reminds me a lot how Jokic has guys like Michael Porter Jr. And Aaron Gordon to get the ball to. I think have Jokic having guys like Dalton Knecht and Lauri Markkanen Lauri Markkanen and Dalton Knecht, I believe, with how good of a three-point shooters those two guys are, would be Jokic. There would be Şengün's, Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon Aaron Gordon's, how that Jokic has. So I would love that trade for the Rockets. It'd be tough to say goodbye to a young talent like Jabari Smith Jr., but I think Lauri Markkanen improves this team. Now, to answer some questions, I would say the Rockets keep Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green. Those are guys I think the Rockets end up keeping and do not let go. And so then to getting into free agency, I'm going to go over a move I think the Rockets two moves I have the Rockets making in free agency. Well, so number one, you end up accepting Jeff Green's team option. You keep him on the team. He might get less minutes this upcoming season with the Rockets because the team will be improved. But I think his veteran leadership to the young guys really helped the team. Smaller move, I think the Rockets should sign Aaron Holiday to a 1 or 2 year deal. His three-point shooting really helped, and if the Rockets want to continue to improve their three-point shooting, Aaron Holiday is a great piece to have, and especially, he can step up at the guard position if Amen Thompson or Fred VanVleet or Jalen Green gets hurt. He is a really nice backup to have for the Rockets. And then the biggest free agency move I have the Rockets making, which I think would benefit the team. And again, another goal here, 3-point shooting. But this one also helps the defense as well. I'm looking at a Milwaukee Buck. I think adding in a shooting guard like Malik Beasley would be a great signing. Malik Beasley, a great 3-point shooter, would definitely help the shooting of this team. You're going to have some money left over to spend in free agency. Malik Beasley this season, who with the Milwaukee Bucks 79 games, 77 starts, averaged 11 points per game with 4 rebounds per game. And from three, he shot 41%, a career high. From three in his career, he's shooting 38%, would be a great fit for this Rockets team. Now, unfortunately, I think the Rockets let guys like Boban Marjanovic and Reggie Bullock Jr. go, but here's what the team ends up looking like after all of that. It's pretty. I like the result of what this team would look like. Also, not to mention, you have Steven Adams returning from injury after the Rockets traded for him in the offseason. So here's what the Rockets roster would look like. Your starting lineup would be Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, Lauri Markkanen, and Alperen Sengun. And then your bench unit would feature Amen Thompson as the backup point guard. He finally gets to excel at the backup point guard role. Then your backup shooting guard is Malik Beasley. Amen Thompson has good shooters off the bench to get the basketball to. Your backup small forward is Cam Whitmore. Your backup power forward is Tari Eason. Your backup center is Steven Adams. And then the other players to come off the bench, you have rookie Dalton Kennett. Eventually, I believe he would get a chance on this team. You also have Aaron Holiday and Jeff Green on the roster as well. Now, there is I guess I would say there's no third center on this roster, but for guys that would be on two-way contracts, you always could have a center on a two-way contract, which would work for the Rockets. So let me know your thoughts on my Rockets offseason plan in the comment section, and peace out. Go Rockets.